Hello, my name is Dustin Harris, Senior System Engineer for Kaminario. In the demo today, we'll show you how well Kaminario's K2 All-Flash Array storage solution performs under heavy workloads, and how well it scales to meet increasing performance demands. For this demonstration, we'll use a real-life SQL Server environment. In addition, we'll demonstrate how simple and intuitive it is to manage the Kaminario K2 Array with the K2 GUI, our user-friendly browser-based console. We'll also show how K2's advanced inline compression saves storage capacity and reduces costs. For the first test in this demo, we'll use a SQL Server 2012 server connected to a single K-block K2 system. Now, let's start the test. The load that we see here is an OLTP query process. It simulates multiple users concurrently accessing the database and generating rapid, random I/O due to select queries of multiple primary keys. This mix of database reads is typical of transaction-oriented applications found in banking, airline, logistics, and other industries. The OLTP test queries are executed on a 100 million row table. As shown, the IOPS during the load simulation are around 100,000, with a peak of 115,000, and the throughput is around 1 gigabyte per second and reaching 1.5 gigabytes per second. Let's take a look at the Dashboard tab while the load is running. The Dashboard tab presents the most important information on the system in a single view. At the center of the dashboard screen, we see the used physical capacity and the data reduction tiles. This tile shows a graphical and numerical presentation of the provisioned, allocated, and physical capacity of the system, including the system's current data reduction ratio. This system services only SQL Server databases, and the data reduction ratio is 4.4 to 1. This ratio is achieved with our global inline compression. The K2 also supports selective inline deduplication, which is disabled for the volumes used in this demonstration. Let's look at system performance. Clicking the Performance tile takes us directly to the Performance tab. The Performance tab presents the current load on the K2 system. As the OLTP test queries run, we will start our second test, which is a mixed workload test. To the already running OLTP queries, I'll add an OLAP workload. This workload consists of reads and writes. This workload simulates a SQL Server bulk operation, performed from multiple sources to a single SQL Server table. The Kaminario K2 Array has an adaptive block size that, with the combination of low latency and the ability to sustain high throughput, can easily deal with the I/O blender effect that the two different types of workloads create. After adding the OLAP workload, we see higher throughput with a percentage of write I/O as well, which is marked by the dark purple graph. The performance reaches 2,000 megabytes per second. As the OLAP workload generates mainly large I/O requests that are generally 64K or higher, the number of IOPS is not changed. Even after adding the second workload, which has a significantly different I/O pattern, the latency of the system remains very low, with an average of 0.5 milliseconds. The Kaminario K2 uses a true scale-out architecture. It's possible to expand the system with an additional K-block, doubling capacity and performance. Following the expansion, the data is evenly redistributed across the array. The next test will demonstrate how a scaled-out system of 2 K-blocks can handle twice the workload of the OLTP test, with twice the performance, while maintaining low latency. After starting the load, it now runs from 2 different SQL Server instances. The system's throughput and IOPS have doubled and reached 2.7 gigabytes per second and 210,000 IOPS. The latency is still low, with an average of 0.6 milliseconds. As shown, the Kaminario K2 ideally suits your SQL Server capacity and performance requirements. K2's inline compression significantly reduces storage needs and lowers costs. K2 successfully handles mixed workloads through the use of adaptive block size, low latency, and the ability to sustain high throughput. K2's architecture allows you to scale up and out simply and seamlessly in order to meet your organizational needs. The Kaminario K2 GUI is intuitive and user-friendly, allowing you to easily manage the system. For more details and results, please download our SQL Server test results white paper at kaminario.com.